Hey guys, for the sake of consistency, just a tiny disclaimer, again, just to be consistent, I'm going to be calling this sport European football soccer, and I'm going to be calling American football football. We got that? Cool. Just enjoy the video, please. The World Cup is officially upon us. The biggest tournament in sports history is almost here, where every fan in the world is going to unite and relish at the fantastic sport, one of the best sports that we've ever seen. Now, my country, not gonna lie, they kind of suck and never really make a World Cup. But hey, it's always fun to cheer on some of my favorite players from my favorite team when they go and support their country. And something unique about this World Cup is going to be in the USA. It's going to be in the country that I live. Now, I am not going to get into all that other stuff off the pitch when it comes to World Cup. That is not what this channel is all about. I am not going to open that Pandora's box. But what I do want to discuss with you all is the U.S. men's national team. And yes, I do know that they just lost 5-2 to freaking Belgium. That was insanely embarrassing. But hey, the U.S. men's national team overall, led by the LeBron James of soccer, has been kind of pretty good when it comes to dominating their own federation in CONCACAF, but then once they get into a major tournament like a World Cup, they show that they are very inferior and show that they are in reality not very good. And look, the U.S. men's national team isn't really that bad. They aren't this dumpster fire team. They're overall a very kind of above average squad. But obviously, if you compare them to a country like France, a country like Spain, even a country like Portugal, they are definitely second fiddle in the world. They're maybe like a third tier team in the world. They are never going to be a favorite to win the World Cup, especially compared to like the women's team, which is an absolute powerhouse in the women's soccer world. But one of the real problems that the U.S. men's national team faces is that overall soccer is not the biggest sport in this country. In the U.S., you could argue it's the fifth favorite sport. Obviously, the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, even the NHL, I believe, is prioritized more than something like soccer or the MLS in the country. Especially, and if you compare that to a country like Brazil or Argentina, the discrepancy is insane because those countries treat soccer like it's their absolute religion. But I believe this has sparked some debate that some Americans try to claim that if we were to put all of our best athletes from other sports into soccer, that would be a lot more dominant. We'd be a lot greater, and maybe we'd even have a World Cup to our name. Now, how much truth is in this statement? Well, I am an NFL channel, so I believe it would be kind of appropriate to pin some of the best players in the world against some of the better players in the world in their sport. Welcome back to No Huddle, and in this video, I'm going to be answering the age-old question, could NFL players win the World Cup? If you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please subscribe, as all support is truly appreciated, and just enjoy the video. So obviously, we can't talk about every single NFL player in existence. We have to dilute it to some positions because as good as athletes as some of these NFL players are, it takes a certain type of athlete to make it to a very good soccer squad. You need a very certain type of body. You need certain types of physical traits. We're not just asking for bodybuilders unless you're Adama Traore. We're not going to be asking for 300-pound behemoths for our soccer squad. So in terms of some positions, we're going to have to kick out offensive linemen and defensive linemen. They're not going to be considered in this small discussion because if you are at least a little big in soccer, you become the absolute laughingstock. So we can't really have that. But what positions could we actually call up to make our international team? Well, I was basically thinking some of the more mobile quarterbacks, some wide receivers, maybe the running backs in the NFL, maybe the corners or the safeties, and then to name the obvious candidates, obviously we could talk about kickers and punters. Now, I'm going to say something that's going to be very controversial. I'm probably going to make some England fans or European fans very mad at me if they watch this video, but I believe that the NFL players overall, they have the advantage in terms of the physical skill, if I were to say the least. Look, no disrespect to all the soccer players. I know how talented they are, but we all know the common stigma of them facing very minimal contact and then immediately falling to the ground with them diving all over the place. That doesn't really work with NFL players, obviously. If you were to give a light shove to Derrick Henry, he's just going to send you to the shadow realm and just continue running like a behemoth. NFL players are overall better at dealing with some contact, as we know, with some of these contested catches that they make. And speaking of contested catches, I think that's a skill that would kind of translate into the sport of soccer pretty well, as we see goalkeepers rise up to claim a ball from a corner, or obviously it's very useful if you want to win a corner, whether it's defending or trying to score from it. I can already imagine someone like Patrick Surtain scoring a header from a corner to win the Champions League for his team. Obviously, we have some of these quarterbacks that are insanely elusive, like Lamar Jackson. I feel like that kind of resembles someone like Vinicius Jr., just dribbling around defenders for fun. Brandon Aubrey, who is a kicker, obviously, if he can kick a 66-yard field goal like it's nothing, what's stopping him from scoring a absolute banger like Valverde from like 20 yards out? It would be basically nothing. If these corners can just position themselves so well to defend the ball, what's stopping them from using their positioning to score a goal like Haaland with his incredibly high IQ runs? Overall, the NFL players have a ton of physical skill, and I believe that some of their traits would actually translate really well to some of the other sports. So are these South Americans and Europeans doomed? If the NFL players, if they started playing soccer from when they were absolute children, would we form this absolutely goated super team that would make Pele's 3 World Cups seem like absolutely nothing? Well, not exactly. We have to look at it from a big picture scale. U.S. development in soccer is kind of trash, to be honest. It is a very gate-kept sport, unfortunately. Compare that to a smaller country like Brazil, where it's kind of like it's an any man's game. Overall, in the U.S., it's very different as it is a very high-class sport. If you aren't rich or loaded with money, there's a very small chance that you can actually get into a small soccer academy when you are a kid. Again, compare that to other sports where basically anyone can just pick it up and play. And the difference is with other countries in which they are very poor, a lot of these guys actually pick up the sport because it's the only way that they can provide with their families. In the U.S., it's basically the opposite. It's a very leisure activity, like something that you would do in a country club, and that causes the U.S. to have a lot less passion for the sport compared to the other countries like in South America. Overall, there's a lot of young talent probably in the U.S. that's floating about right now in the country, but it's never going to get realized because of its very gate-kept nature. If you aren't worth millions or billions, you're probably not going to be able to pick up soccer ball any day in your life. Also, another point that I have to talk about, as good as a lot of these NFL players are as athletes, we severely underestimate how good some of these soccer players are in their respective sport. I mentioned that Derrick Henry, while he's not going to fall for the physical attributes of some of these defenders, I think we underestimate that he maybe has 0.1% of the technical ability that someone like Vinicius Jr. has. Someone like Jeremy Doku would probably eat him alive. Even a brute enforcer like Sergio Ramos has a ton of skill himself and probably has 100 times more skill than someone like an NFL player on the soccer pitch. A lot of these guys just have God-given talents that these NFL players just don't have. Some of it is maybe it's just luck, maybe it's just hard work. But these NFL players, it doesn't matter how hard they work. They can start from when they were a kid. They're just never going to inherit those skills. They don't have that God-given touch like a Neymar or something like that. So in conclusion, to answer the question, would the U.S. men's national team be a lot better if they had NFL players? Better, I think, is a yes. I think they would be a tad bit better. Maybe they would be a sneaky contender to like make a run in the World Cup. Maybe they'd be like Morocco and make the semifinals every now and then. But in terms of winning the World Cup, that's going to be a strong no from me, as the UN's men's national team still has a long way to go. And again, we're never going to see some of these incredible footballers here in America because it's just not their sport. And again, with how they played against Belgium, it shows that they are still a long way to go from reaching the world's best in terms of this sport. And to be honest, this godforsaken team, I worry what they're going to show us in the World Cup because it might get a little bit ugly. But hey, I am still really, really excited for this tournament, and June is just around the corner, and I might make some World Cup content. If you guys want that, please subscribe and please like to show support, as I will know that you are interested in maybe some World Cup predictions / reviews of some of the games. So if you guys like that, then please subscribe to show support, as it is very appreciated. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys